I want to talk a minute this morning about crunch time. In the business I'm in, I'm a nutrition consultant for dairies in the Panhandle, Kansas, New Mexico area. And on the dairies, there's a time period which we call the transition period for dairy cows, which is really the crunch time for them. That time period is 3 weeks before they calve and 3 weeks after they calve. It's the most difficult time period in the life of a dairy cow. It's when she is transitioning from a pretty easy time. No offense, ladies, but the pregnancy, has kind of been going on. We get to the end of pregnancy. We get within 3 weeks of when they calve, and for those 3 weeks following, there are lots of metabolic changes that cow goes through, hormonal changes that cow goes through, ration changes that she goes through, and they change pens, so they get in with a whole new group of other cows. Milk production goes up, and it becomes a pretty challenging time that we spend a lot of time and money navigating through, trying to make that transition the easiest that we can. So as we work through that time period, there's basically three outcomes that we generally see for those cows. One is a healthy transition period where things go well. She moves, from a dry cow, has a healthy calf, begins her milk production cycle, and ramps up into a high level of milk production and doesn't have any problems doing that. That's what we're after. The second outcome that we might see is when she shows clinical signs of problems. She gets up to the calving period and something doesn't go right metabolically. She gets sick. There are several health events that can happen that cause a great deal of trouble. It's symptomatic. We see it, we treat it, and oftentimes the outcome is not good at all. And then the third outcome is when we have subclinical issues where the symptoms are not as obvious. She still eats some. She still produces some milk. She doesn't have obvious signs of distress, and so it's hard to diagnose. And sometimes those are the ones that we miss when they're going through in a pen of 100 cows. Sometimes it's hard to see those that are just subclinical. I think there are times in our life that are similar to that, because there are times when serving God is hard and it's not convenient. And there are transitional times in our Christian development that I think are kind of crunch time for us. And in Joshua chapter 24 verses 15, it says, "And if it is evil in your eyes to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your fathers served in the region beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. You know, the gods that we serve today may not be beyond the Euphrates River, may not be the God of the Amorites, but they're more likely the God of materialism, pride, or selfishness. But the choice is the same. Are we going to serve the one true living God, or are we going to serve the gods of the world? I think we face the same three outcomes that those dairy cows do in that transition period. We can have a healthy outcome where we make good choices and we get through crunch time with flying colors, and our faith and our walk with Christ stays true. I think sometimes we can crash and burn in that transition period when it comes crunch time, and those would be clinical symptoms. It's obvious to us, and it's obvious to those around us, that we had a failure in our faith, in our Christian discipleship, and we need help. I think the third outcome is that subclinical area where it's much more difficult to diagnose. When it comes crunch time, from the outside, we look okay. Sometimes we, from the inside, feel like it wasn't bad. We got through it, but it wasn't done to the level that it needed to be. And if we honestly look at the way we handled things, we would probably discern that we need to be better and more committed to our discipleship for Christ. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 and 8, it says, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened." My challenge for us as we go through difficult times in our Christian walk is to recognize the outcome that we have. And if we see ourselves needing help, ask for it. If you see those around you that need help, offer. Go with God this week.